This video is all about what's called crime and punishment and capital punishment. So, you could be asked to describe the causes of crime. If this is the case, common sense approach. Upbringing, okay, a negative upbringing. The environment that you sort of are raised in. If you're in an environment there's a lot of crime takes place, whether it be with your family or your community, then there's a more chance that you will go in and have a life of crime. So you could say about your economic or your financial situation, there might be a need, okay, or a desire to have a better life, and you may feel that crime is the only way to sort of either get you what you need, all right, or get you what you want. You can say about the glamorization of a criminal lifestyle. So you've got like TV shows that show sort of like criminal activity as being something that is exciting, okay, and fun maybe, or financially rewarding. You can link that to sort of films like Kiddletood and things like that. That's the best example. I'm not exactly the coolest person around, okay? Now, you can say about the fact that we've all got free choice, and some people actually desire to sort of go and do it. You could also say about the fact that people are pressured into crime, okay? So it might be that from family, or from like an older relative, or it could be from somebody with a sort of position in community, that they may pressure them to go into sort of committing criminal activity. Now, when it comes to Catholic and Jewish views on punishment, okay, they're exactly the same. Now, you need to remember the aims of punishment, because that's what Catholics support, all right? So, protection, all right, to protect society from dangerous criminals, okay? Number one, protection. Number two, retribution. Now, this isn't revenge, it's payback. So, you can link it to the idea of eye for an eye, okay? So, somebody who committed murder would be life imprisonment, okay? Next one is to deter others, to put them off doing the crime, okay? To put the person off doing it again, but also to put others off, all right? To deter them. Do you want to go to prison for life? No, I don't. Well, don't commit murder. That's what deterrence is. Next one, rehabilitation, okay, to try and sort of turn their lives around, all right? So they provide them with counselling, with training, that sort of stuff. You can link that to the idea of forgiveness. And our final point is exactly that a person, when it comes to the aim of punishment, they should be supported to seek forgiveness, okay? And you can link that to the idea of Jesus' teaching to not forgive 7 times, but 77 or 70 times, 7 times, depending on your reference, okay? Now, the Jewish view is essentially exactly the same, okay, but just make sure that you are careful with obviously the teaching when it comes to forgiveness, that sort of part, right? So instead of using Jesus' teaching, you could use do not hate your brother in your heart, or you could say pardoneth iniquity, okay? Both of them are teachings from the Torah about the importance of forgiveness, all right? When it comes to rehabilitation, you could say that's about fixing something that's wrong with a person. So you could link that to tikkun olam, okay? The idea of fixing things when things are wrong, all right? Now, treatment of prisoners, very similar, slightly different, okay? So, how Catholics believe that prisoners should be treated, they should be treated justly, okay? So, they should allow retribution to take place, not revenge, all right? Next one, but they should also be treated fairly, okay? They should be treated fairly. All right, the idea that whilst they should be sort of punished, that there still needs to be an element of fairness within their punishment. They're still a human being. We all make mistakes, that kind of idea. They should be rehabilitated. I've just spoken about that. They should be treated with dignity. Just because they committed a crime, it doesn't make them, okay, not a human being. And, I mean, all life is sacred, so we should treat it with sort of respect and dignity, all right? You can link that to the idea of having a toilet in your room, meals provided, that type of thing, okay? And the final one you can say about is supported, all right? Just because when we have rehabilitation programs in place, do you think it'd be easy to turn your life around in prison, surrounded by other criminals? Probably not. So Catholics, all right, and Jews, they believe that they should be treated, okay, should be supported. So that's why there's things like prison chaplains to support people in prison to be able to sort of turn their lives around. Catholic, Jewish views, exactly the same, okay, with regards to this. Obviously, just be careful with the teachings that you use. For Jews, no Jesus. Now, I mentioned then about prison chaplains, okay? Now, this came up last year, so whether it comes up sort of in 2019 or onwards, then we'll see. But if you get asked to describe or explain the work of a prison chaplain, and I've deliberately used the word work, okay? Number one is that the W, they provide welfare and counselling for all in prison, okay? So essentially they're there to support them, okay? And by that I mean, rather than support, actually, I mean sort of like to counsel them, to discuss with them, to help them on that sort of rehabilitation process and try and help them lead to seeking forgiveness. Okay, link that to Jesus' teaching about on forgiveness again. O is organise opportunities for interfaith dialogue. Religious believers in prison can support one another. So the prison chaplain can help those people build those bridges. So it could be through like shared worship, could be through like a discussion, could be through a prayer group. Okay, that the chaplain can arrange that so religious believers can unite and support one another. The R, they provide religious specific support. So if you are a Catholic in prison and you want to be forgiven, right, then the prison chaplain may be a priest or could be able to contact a priest for you so that you could receive reconciliation. He could also provide you with the Blessed Sacrament, so Holy Communion. Okay, so you can link it to that sort of idea. And the final one, the K, is keeping in touch. So they keep in touch with you because you might need sort of, well, not you specifically, right, but with the prisoner, that they might need some support to get through it because it's difficult, it's not easy, that kind of idea, that they're there for them. But also they can link with the family as well, okay? They can link with the family and sort of help them, what's called rebuild bridges potentially, because their relationship may have become damaged, all right? So when it comes to sort of this again, if you get asked to explain how Catholics and Jews aim to support prisoners, you just focus on those same sort of things, okay? And I would say that, that Jews and Catholics, they both have sort of chaplains, all right? Do the W and the O for the Catholic view and the R and the K for the Jewish view. So that sort of takes us through prison, what's called, and prison chaplains, and we now got the final little bit, which is capital punishment. So let's be honest about this, it's quite clear, isn't it, when it comes to sort of religious views on this. Generally, they're going to be against it, but there's going to be some justification. Eye for an eye, okay? So, first things first, Catholic views are on capital punishment. Some accept it, okay, because it can act as a deterrent and also for retribution. I think the teaching of eye for an eye that I just mentioned. But in general, the Catholic Church are against it. Why? Because it doesn't allow forgiveness to take place. Link that to 70 times 7 or 77 times, okay? The teaching on forgiveness. The next one is that it's more important to focus on rehabilitation and reform, all right? And you can link that teaching of do not pay back evil with evil, all right? So instead, focus on trying to change the person, trying to make them better. You can also say that it doesn't work as a deterrent, all right? Now, I find this one of my favourite things, all right, on the course, that when it comes to the states in America that have capital punishment, the murder rate is higher. And Pope Francis pointed this out and saying capital punishment should not be allowed for the reason that it doesn't act as a very good deterrent, clearly. And the final thing to say is that all life is sacred, only God decides, okay? So you can say that that capital punishment shouldn't be allowed for that reason. You could link the idea as well, right, of that some people see it as being almost like a murderous act, all right? But that's probably if you're really struggling to drop that in because really they're acting on the sort of the provision of the law. When it comes to Jewish views, very similar to Catholics, okay? Link the idea that it sometimes can be acceptable, it's a deterrent, all that sort of stuff, okay? But also that they think that it can be acceptable if a person is unlikely to reform. And if you want to teach it to sort of back that up, then you can say that eye for an eye, it's called links with that again, all right? And you can say about the fact that if a person is unwilling to seek sort of forgiveness, then we are here to act, particularly the law, on God's behalf. So therefore, that it can be justified and it can be sort of in line with the teachings that you find in the Torah, all right? So generally against it, some justification, eye for an eye, all right? So when it comes to sort of non-religious views, that on this, you are focused on the same kind of ideas, really, of retribution, of deterrent, all that sort of thing. Reason why some people are against capital punishment for non-religious reasons is that you can say that it's inhumane, that times have moved on, and that we have prisons that can actually sustain somebody being in prison for life. So a life sentence can mean life. You can also say about the fact that people make mistakes, that's not just the criminal, all right, but it's also the people sort of who are punishing, all right? Like lawyers and policemen, all sort of stuff. They could have fingered the wrong criminal. So if they were to do that and they put that person to death, then you can't right that wrong. Do you mean that person is dead? And do you mean this obviously has happened in the past? Justification for it, you can say that it allows somebody doesn't deserve. If you take someone's life, then you deserve to die for that reason. Okay, it's a lot of different ideas. There's a lot of other ones you can focus on as well. But this is just supposed to be a short summary video, so there's your main ideas.